Hi everyone, thanks for sticking with us. Just had a little technical issue in the background, but I am thrilled to have these two wonderful people with us now, and we are going to talk about Australia's oldest family-owned chocolate company, Haigh's Chocolates. Fiona is here with us as the marketing manager for Haigh's, and we've got a real live chocolatier. I probably said that terribly. Who the job title of technical and product manager, but we know he makes the good stuff. He makes the chocolate. So Ben and Fiona are going to talk us through 5 amazing chocolates that they produce. So hopefully you haven't eaten them all, and if you didn't get them, we're sorry, but please stick with us and see what these amazing guys have to say about Australian chocolate. Over to you guys.
Thank you, April. Yes, welcome everyone. Good morning, good evening to Ben, but good morning to all of you. I just wanted, firstly, to introduce myself and Ben, give you a little bit of background as to why we're here, and also a very, very brief history of Haigh's. We're nearly 110 years old, but I shan't bore you to death with all those details. My name's Fiona Crouchek, and I head up both the marketing and the customer care teams at Haigh. And I'm still there eating plenty of it. Ben Colley, who is my colleague here, we like to call him the chocolatier. Let's be honest. His technical title is there, but Ben's certainly our chocolatier and the person who creates a lot of the magic. So after I do a little brief history, we'll launch into the chocolate tastings for those of you who A, have received them, and B, managed to not eat them in the lead up to this. I'll also ask Ben just to give you a bit of a history about how we make chocolate in Haigh's and how that's different to not only chocolatiers in Australia, other chocolate makers in Australia, but chocolate makers around the world as well. Please, if you have any questions, I'm going to try and keep an eye on the chat and the Q&A as well. So I'll keep an eye on that, and we'll maybe jump in with those as we go. Haigh started back in Adelaide in South Australia in 1915. Alfred Haigh opened the first Haigh's chocolate shop in what is really an iconic building in Adelaide. For those that have visited, it's called the Beehive Corner, and it's on it's basically number 2 on Rundle Mall, which is our premier shopping strip here in Adelaide. And from that location, he began making chocolate, and the business is still in family hands. We now have the 4th generation still making chocolate, still involved in the business. The 5th generation also work in the business, and the 6th generation have been born. So there are plenty more chocolate makers to come in the Haigh family. We now have over 21 stores in Australia. We do make all of our own chocolate from the cocoa bean. I'll let Ben go into that in a bit more detail. But yes, we make all the chocolate in Adelaide, in South Australia, and sell throughout the whole of Australia, both through our online store and our network of stores. One of the things that we do have in Adelaide is we have what we call our visitor centre, that's located on Green Hill Road, Parkside, and we actually offer tours of that site. So we have guided tours there that run every day outside of the major seasons, and that's actually a free tour. So there's information that you can click through and find on that. And at the end of this session, I'm going to give you a bit of a preview of something very special that's coming up as well. So Ben, I might hand over to you just to explain briefly, shall we say, because we want to get into the chocolate tasting.
Yep.
What makes our chocolate so special, and why do you think, as I guess a person of European heritage and who grew up in Europe, what's the difference between European chocolate and Australian made chocolate, and why do you think our chocolate is so special and so tasty?
Well, good morning to everyone. I think Haig's Chocolate, it's an amazing company because they're making a very Swiss-style chocolate since the 1960s. So as you pick up in my accent, I'm Swiss French. So I grew up in Gruyere. You probably know the cheese, and we love chocolate. So Mr. Haigh in the 60s just wanted to just improve the chocolate making. So he went to Lindt Chocolate in Zurich, and I also worked there, but later. And he just learned more how to make good chocolate. And then he decided, okay, I like what they're making, but also I need machinery that will be able to make that kind of chocolate. So since the 60s, it's been very much the story of Haig's chocolate. What's so special is we are making the chocolate from the cocoa beans. So there's a lot of chocolatiers making from the cocoa paste, but we are sourcing the best cocoa we can find around the world, and we're starting the chocolate making from choosing the cocoa beans, and then you come into our facilities in Adelaide, and we start the process of roasting the cocoa beans, and then getting the shell
Sorry, Ben, do you
away.
just want to explain what that roasting is and how it aligns with? I think a lot of people know about roasting coffee beans, but how does that work for cocoa
So,
beans? Is it the same? Is it different?
Before you arrive to us, there's a lot of process in the on the farm that's very important. Is the harvesting, is the fermentation, the drying of the cocoa. So all that is very important for the quality of the cocoa. But then, if we want to have all the chocolate flavor out, we have to go through the process of roasting. And during that process, then it's very important the way we roast because we don't want to lose all this amazing flavor. But also, the cocoa beans has a shell that is protecting the beans, but it's not something that we can eat. So through the process of roasting, we also get rid of that shell. And then after the roasting, we make a paste. And then this paste is going into a paste that's called conching. And there it's also a very, very important step of making chocolate. We are conching for several hours. And what we're doing is we're
That's always
adding
a
the
secret, though, isn't it? Ben, sorry, I'll jump in. That's always a bit of a secret, though, isn't it? How long somebody
it,
conches for? Sounds
the
like it
time
hurts, but
the time is a secret. The process is quite known, but what we do is at that stage we add the cocoa butter, and then the sugar and the milk powder for the milk chocolate, and then we get rid of all the unpleasant flavor, the vinegary flavor that's still left in the cocoa beans. So through that process, these volatiles are just disappearing, but then also we're creating the smoothness of the chocolate because the taste is
it's
very
quite amazing,
important.
isn't it? It turns from a paste into a liquid just by that conching process.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
the particle size is very, very important. So the taste, but also the mouthfeel is very important. So that's a process that we have to be very careful how we make it. And so after some hours, then the chocolate is ready to be used as a plain chocolate or enrobing truffles and different products. So, and that's
And
very
I,
much
I
the.
wish we I wish we had smell-o-vision, because the smell in that factory when they even just roast the beans is absolutely amazing. And
It's a
if
beautiful
you're
taste.
fortunate enough to taste, well, firstly, we've got to remind people it comes out like hot chocolate. It's like a hot liquid chocolate. So
Yes.
you can actually burn yourself on it if you're not careful. But if you ever are anywhere where there's chocolate being made and they offer you a taste, please just say yes. Just make sure you don't burn yourself first. It's
Yeah.
the most beautiful taste in the world. It's the best hot chocolate you've ever had.
And the cocoa beans are just amazing product because there's a lot of different flavor components, but also
Mm-hmm.
depending where they grow, it just show different kind of flavor aspects. For instance, South America, it's very floral. West Africa,
Mm-hmm.
it's more fruity, and the Pacific Island is subtle fruitiness, but also very earthy. So the same way a grape, depending the type, but also where they're growing, there's a lot of different flavor, and we can really play with different flavor for what we find is interesting.
And it can
And
really be regional, and then almost, if I take the wine analogy, sort of that single vineyard taste
yes,
that can get quite specific, can't it?
that's right. And I think it'd be interesting to discover that in our testing, because the
Yes.
Australian single origin is very much that single farm, farm story,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a bit of a special thing we've got as part of the tasting today. We did have a question. How long does it take to roast the cocoa beans, Ben, on average?
So it's a process of about an hour. So
And it's huge, isn't it? I mean, it's the biggest coffee roasting type of thing you've ever seen.
yes. So and it's very much, there's different type of roaster, but we find that a coffee roaster is what works best for the cocoa beans, because it is warm, but it's kind of still gentle, so we're not burning the cocoa beans. Yeah.
Because
So
that would come through in the flavour of the chocolate, wouldn't it, if we do that?
yeah,
If you
yeah.
burn it at the very beginning, it will taste burnt at the end.
Then a burn is not a flavor that you can just camouflage or make disappearing. So we have
Good.
it's a careful
And
product.
what do we do with the shells? That's another question we've been asked. So all that sort of byproduct and shells, I know we do some interesting things with that, don't we?
So we quite we have very good relationship with farmers, so they know what we want. And the ideal bean we are after is a bean that has about 20% shell, and the rest is cocoa bean and cocoa butter. If we have very tiny beans that have not been harvested properly and fermented properly, then we have a lot of shell and very little cocoa nibs. So that 20% shell that we have, it's a local, how would you call it, gardener that comes and pick up to, yeah.
And it turns into compost, doesn't it?
That's right. And
So
it's beautiful in your garden. When you put that in your garden, you have that chocolatey taste for some days, but then it's gone.
and it's been known to be fed to is it the nibs or the shells that have been fed to horses and cows before as well?
Oh, but I don't know that.
A little bit of family history.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes, so a lot of the waste product from the actual cocoa bean processing is turned into a garden compost, so or a sort of a garden ground cover mulch sort of thing. So everything gets used, and as Ben said, it does smell very nice in the beginning before it starts breaking down. So good for the garden, good for you.
That's right.
We might move on. You touched on the beans that we use, and they come from all over the world, including Papua New Guinea. And I think, are we up to 80% now that's UTZ certified? So,
yes, 80%.
80%. So that really means that, what does that mean to you, that us using beans that are UTZ certified? They cost us a bit more, don't they?
Yes, because we are after really high quality cocoa beans, but also we want to understand where they come from and what kind of situation the farmers are in. And to me, it's something that I have very much at heart, because I have a farming background, but dairy farm. So and I've been also I've been able to go on the cocoa farms. So it's important that it's family business that are working very hard, but also getting money for their work. And
so it's about fair pay and all of those things as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because we know in the back, like especially Ivory Coast, there was children taken away from their families and put into business to do their farms. So this certification is making sure that yes, there is some children working on farm, but they're children of the farmers. And the main seasons of harvesting is October and February. So when that's happening, they all focus very much on this work. But after that, it's slowing down and they're going back to their normal routine, which includes school and things like that.
Yeah.
So that
Well, it's
certification
really
is very important. Yeah, because we know what's going on. Yeah.
And some of you may be aware of the Utz brand. They've actually joined with Rainforest Alliance, and all of the Utz is being swapped over to Rainforest Alliance. So some of our products still have Utz on them, and then Rainforest Alliance as well. So, Ben, you touched on the fact that the first thing we're going to taste today is actually the single origin Australian chocolate. Now,
Yes.
whilst we make great chocolate, we're not really known for growing beans. Why can't cocoa beans being grown in most parts of Australia? There's only a very small part, isn't there?
Yeah, because the cocoa is growing 20 degrees on both sides of the equator. So it means that the top end of Australia is within that kind of ideal place to grow cocoa. And the story in Australia, it's Cadbury and Nestle who 30 years ago wanted to grow cocoa. And then they realized it was hard work and a very slow process and probably not enough money for what they wanted. So the farms just, there was nothing. But then 20 years ago, there's some people who have taken over that. And at the beginning, I remember trying their cocoa 15 years ago, and it was not very nice. But I think over the years, they really improved. And I believe we have a beautiful cocoa coming from Queensland. One thing is it's very expensive in a sense that it's hard to find, the workers have to earn good money in Australia. So that impacts the price of the cocoa. Yes. But we find this single farm a couple of years ago, and I think we have found a beautiful cocoa, and so finally we have a single origin Australian cocoa.
So it's very exciting, and there is very little of it.
Very little.
Very, very little. So for those of you that have received the chocolate samples, if you'd like to, if you haven't tasted it already, if you'd like to open up the Australian single origin and give it a taste, I don't have any in front of me. I know Ben should have.
Yes.
You do? Do you want to show what one it is and what it looks like?
So that is the
we've done it
packaging.
as a tablet. That's it.
Yeah. So it has 38% cocoa. And because you're all in a tourism, so this one come from Golden Vale, which is just below Cairns. Most of the cocoa will be grown.
North Queensland, yep.
Yeah, most of the cocoa will be grown mainly in the Daintree National Park area. So this one is coming slightly further south. Yes. And so it's a very beautiful cocoa. It has very delicate cocoa flavor. There is also some fruitiness, but quite subtle. And I think it's very rich in malt flavor.
And I think Lydia's one of our tasters has picked that up really quickly. So it's it's not too sweet, but very malty. So well done.
Yeah. So the maltiness is also coming a little bit through the mixing of milk, so caramelly, malty milk. We went for a very thin shape.
So we call this our tablet. This is our tablet, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that type of chocolate, because it's normally a product that you will eat very slow. And
did everyone hear that? Eat it slow and enjoy it and let it linger, I think is what I just heard. You have to pace yourself as well.
Yeah, it's a chocolate that you take time to just open the packaging and then just taking the foil away, and you take time. So it's very important that it's a tablet form is thin, because I think you take time to really enjoy all the flavor that you can pick up.
And what about, do you want to just explain quickly the snap and how chocolate should break when you break a bit off, and what it should feel like and what the mouth feels? Because a lot of people are saying it's so smooth and creamy, which is great, and that's a sign of a good quality chocolate. But the snap is and the look of the chocolate is also important, isn't it?
Yes. So as we spoke before, once the conching process is finished, it's a paste that is over 50 degrees. So we have to do something that we'll be able to package and to use. So we have to do what we call tampering. So the cocoa butter, it's a polymorphine butter. So there is different structure. So we have to bring the chocolate down to about 26 degrees, and then warm up to about 29, 30 degrees. And that is an important step to have that snap. Because if you don't do that, then the cocoa butter will not be stable, and it will always try to go in the outside of the tablet or the product.
And that's when you get, some people sometimes believe their chocolate might have gone moldy, but it's actually
moldy.
Just this separation of the cocoa butter, isn't it, from the rest of the chocolate solid?
That's right. That could happen through a problem with the tampering, or if it's been well tampered, but suddenly people are going shopping and leave the chocolate in the car, so it's getting a bit melted. So
I think that might happen more in Australia than in England, though, Ben.
Well, that's right.
More of a problem here.
Yeah.
But the other thing we really suggest is you don't put it in the fridge, do you? It's the word.
No, because in a normal fridge, the humidity content is quite high, and then that chocolate will that humidity will just go on top of the chocolate and then melt the sugar, and then cause that blooming. So it's a bit like a treasure, you have to really look after your chocolate from the start
it sticks around long enough.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I think everyone, it looks like everyone's enjoying it, and they're enjoying a good snap. And it sounds like it's arrived safely as well, because it is still snapping well and tasting good.
It's snapped well here.
It's snapped well there. Can we hear it?
Yes.
There you go. There you go. So it is a very special chocolate for us, and we've been working really hard for a number of years to actually get this over the line and onto the market.
And it's been an exciting journey, because we've gone around the world finding this bean for doing single origin. So we always have different ones from South America or West Africa. But
we've done Costa Rica, haven't we?
Costa Rica.
Belize. We've done some really interesting ones. And they all taste so very different, don't they?
Very different, yeah.
Really does. And we're going to... the next chocolates we'll call, but we chose them, Ben, because they're both a milk and a dark, so you can see the difference in those chocolates. And this is what I'm going to use the word standard, but this isn't single origin chocolate that's coating these almonds, and the almonds are special as well. So the almonds are Australian green almonds, and where do they come from, Ben?
So they come from Mildura, which is just in Victoria, but touching the South Australian border. An area that, in an area that grow beautiful almonds. So we source them here. We're very happy to be able to find them in Australia. The way Haigh's work is, we love to work with Australian ingredients. But if we can't find them, we go just somewhere else in the world. That's what we do for the cocoa beans. But in Australia, they grow these beautiful almonds. So we get them from the farmers not too far. I think it's about, 5 hours trip from Adelaide?
I was going to say it would be about 400 to 500 kilometres from our factory.
Yeah, that's right. and then they come to us, and we get them through the same roasting process. For us, what's important is if we say it's Scotch almond with chocolate, we want that the customers are enjoying the chocolate, but also the almonds. So
does scorch just mean that it's been roasted?
So Scotch,
Not
I
burnt.
think I'm not an expert in English, right? But I think technically Scotch is burnt. But in
Yes, but
Australia, it's also used because of the hot weather, that it
yes,
is
that's
hot
true.
but not burnt. So if you look
Yes.
at, I don't know if you see those who have the chocolate, it's not a white almond. The roasting has bring them to a very kind of caramelly color.
So
And
if you
at that,
bite into it and look at it, can you maybe bite into one and well, I don't think we'll see it too.
I'm trying to find, but I
We're
think,
there we
yeah,
go. That's it. Well done. So that looks like a dark Scotch almond. Am I
this one
right?
is the dark one. So if you don't roast it at that level, then
Mm-hmm.
you barely taste the almond. So when
Yep.
you eat the whole almond, you have mainly the chocolate with some crunch. So we don't
Yes.
want to have that. So we roast them to that level. So the flavor of the almond is really there. So it's a mix of the almond flavor, the crunch, and then the milk chocolate. The milk
Mm-hmm.
chocolate is a lot of the beans are coming from West Africa, but also PNG.
Mm-hmm.
And our dark chocolate is mainly South America. So again, it's a milk and dark, but also it's different region that are bringing
Mm-hmm.
different flavor into the chocolate. So it's the same eat experience, but the tasting is very different between the
It
milk
is,
and the
isn't
dark.
it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
yeah, so in essence, scorched means roasted but not burnt.
that's
We
right.
save it just before it's burnt, so but it brings out all those flavors and it really does add that beautiful crunch.
That's right.
These are one of I wanted to include these because these are one of my favorite things that we do. It's one of our most popular, and I love the dark, but I also love the milk. But they're very. I'll eat them at different times. I won't necessarily eat them at the
Yeah,
same time together.
yeah,
But I also, and I've always said that the dark scorched almonds are like the perfect breakfast food. There's a bit of protein.
that's right.
there's, there's a nut, and then
That's right.
you've got your dark chocolate as well. So it's all, in my head, it's a health food.
That's right.
Let's face it.
Coffee and
I'm not
chocolate
allowed
is
to
the
say that, so don't tell anyone I said that. But yeah, for me,
coffee.
we've actually had
Coffee and
some
chocolate, the
people.
best breakfast, right?
Exactly. We've actually had some people ask where they can buy our chocolate in the UK, and I'm going to have to say at this moment in time, you can't. So Anita, I'm sorry, but we are working on it. There's a few sort of legalities we've got to work on as well. So I suspect we'll be able to do that via our online store. Maybe not in the next 12 months, but certainly in the next 2 years, I'm hoping. So if you have got the chocolate today, it makes it that little bit extra special. And I must admit, I haven't yet found an English chocolate that quite tastes like ours. So it
Mhm.
is a little bit unique. Yeah. Does anyone prefer the milk scorched almond over the dark or the dark over the milk for those that do have them? Would be interested to know your thoughts. But yes, for me, it's a very special chocolate as well. And it's a form of chocolate that is quite popular in Australia is, the almonds covered in chocolate. We have raisins, we
Mhm.
have sultanas, we have the good old Australian macadamias as well in our range in both milk and dark chocolate too. So, and we treat them all in that same way, which
Mm.
is with a generous coating of chocolate, I would say, if someone had to ask me. Um, the next one we've got is sort of what I would call one of our fancier chocolates, Ben.
Yes.
And it's fancier because it's is presented in our stores in our glass cabinets, and people can choose to buy one, or they can choose to buy a kilo of them, or however many they want. But this is the milk salted caramel. And the reason we put this in here as part of this tasting is that the salt is Australian.
That's right.
And where does the salt come from?
So this product is a little bit fancy in the sense that it has a ganache, and then we enroll with chocolate. So what we like to do is that our customers are just happy to have different products. So there's different time of the day. We talk about the single origin. It's a different heat to a Scotch almond. This one is almost like a dessert. So we make a very special syrup that we cook it quite high. Then we make a ganache, which is a dairy product with our chocolates, and then we find this superb salt along the River Murray.
And it's pink salt, isn't it?
And it's a pink salt. Yeah. So and then I mean it's a beautiful region of Australia. You can have boats that you can rent, or you can do a little cruise down the Murray. So if you look at the decoration, which is this kind of orangey, I'm finding the camera, orangey, yes, stripe. So I was able to find this decoration that really represents when the sun set in the evening, and you have that the bank of the river that getting in
those
this kind
cliffs,
of tribe.
really tall cliffs. Yep.
Yes, in this
that reminds me of that as well.
Yeah, and so it's a whole journey. It's a whole adventure. And we're trying to again that it's not only the chocolate that you can taste, but you can pick up the salt, you can pick up the caramel, and it's a dessert experience with an adventure.
Yes, and your description of the decoration really does. Yeah, it reminds me of many childhood and teenage sunsets, enjoying the river with family and things, and watching the sun hit those cliffs in those really special spots along the river. And the salt's a beautiful product. So where we can, we do really like to collaborate and use super local to Adelaide and South Australia. And then, as you mentioned a bit earlier, if we have to, we'll go a bit further afield and expand throughout Australia. And then if we really have to, we'll get things from overseas. But we try to keep it as local as possible. So this one, I remember when we launched this, it was a fantastic hit, and I think it's still in the top 10 of what we call the cabinet chocolates. Yeah. It really is a super popular one. I would love to know what our friends online think of it. You're enjoying it. I know you love it.
It's 9 p.m., but it's still time for chocolate, right?
It's always time for chocolate. I'm surprised you haven't got a coffee next to you or a glass of wine, Ben. Oh, wait, might do.
The wine, but it's finished.
There you go. Thank you. I'm a bit upset, Ben. Your glass is empty, though. There was wine in there?
It's not white. It's not red. It's white. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit left.
Okay.
And it's a Pinot Grigio.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. From Barossa. That's right. And you know your wine, Fiona.
I do know my wine. That's a whole other session, though, isn't it?
That's right.
If anyone does want to join us to tell us about how they're enjoying the chocolate, please sing out. The next one we've got is also a milk chocolate, And this was a part of a bit of a real collaboration we did a couple of years ago, wasn't it? And this is the most popular out of the three, so it's hung around, which is lovely. But this is
Yes.
utilising and collaborating with someone based in Melbourne.
Yeah. And so we have inspired ourselves to a great tradition in the UK, which is the dry gin.
Mm-hmm.
And the last, I would say, 10 to 12 years, there's been this huge interest for a local winemaker, gin maker, to start their own business. So
There are an awful lot of gin makers now in Australia.
yeah, and about 10, 12 years ago, it was just a couple of guys who started to make this product known and working on a beautiful dry gin. And nowadays, we don't know which one to choose. But I believe that
I think
the Melbourne Gin Company, to me, is still one of the best that you can find in Australia. So can you still hear me? Okay. Yeah. So because of the popularity of gin, we thought that we'll be doing a collection. So we did it in 2019, and we choose a gin of from Victoria in Melbourne. We found a gin in Sydney, and then a local South Australian gin, and we presented them with. To me, very important is the juniper. So you have to have that very prominent in a gin, but also there's some botanical that you find in Australia. So this one is the most popular. So it's kind of a butterscotch ganache. So we use some dairy product that we really cook very, very slow for quite some times to create that flavor. But also we put the juniper berries for 10 days and we soak them in the gin. So just to
so you put the berries. So you took juniper berries, soaked them in the Melbourne gin,
in some gin
and then
for
right.
about 10 days. And when we start the making of the fudge, we just extract the leftover of the liquid with all this beautiful juniper flavor and liquid.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've got. Oh yeah.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How have you found the chocolate so far?
Well, I'm just having the best day here. This is amazing.
Fantastic.
I'm in absolute heaven. Yeah, it's just so delicious.
Fantastic. What one's
Thank
been
you.
your favourite so far?
Oh God. Do I have to pick a favourite? I mean, I
No,
don't
you
know
don't.
how I would do that really. I think
So we have to, because we make over 250, 300 chocolates. So.
Okay. Well,
we have to narrow it down a little
bit. If I really had to choose a favourite, it would probably be. Oh, it's like Sophie's choice, isn't it? Probably the single origin, because it was.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of just having a slab of chocolate accessible to me whenever I like, really, and this is probably one of the best I've had. So it's exquisite chocolate.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Then, isn't it?
The new breakfast treat, like Fiona.
Yeah. Yes, so okay, we've got these are the individual chocolates. I'm going to apologise because there's not that many left in there because I've eaten most of them. In fact, I won't apologise at all because it's been amazing. So inside, as you can see, you've got these delicious looking, very beautifully decorated chocolates. You've got the single origin, which is fab, and the amazing almonds, which I confess I started I started eating them yesterday. Yeah, I just couldn't hold out. I tried really hard, but
Well done. Look, there's still a lot there. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
there's a lot
We're getting
there.
a lot of we're getting a lot of people who are loving the gin. Some who don't even like gin who are liking the chocolate then. So that's great.
Yes.
And I think some other people are agreeing that it's the best breakfast they've had in a long time.
I skipped breakfast for this, so this is
Oh,
like
wow.
this is everything. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I was ready.
I've been known to do that as well. We sometimes have lovely. Ben and I are part of the team that help decide what chocolates come to market. So some mornings, once a month, we have to eat an awful lot of chocolate, and
What a terrible
It's hard
job!
work.
a horrible job. It's a horrible job. Now, what's the final one, Ben, that we've got?
Sure. Thank you. Nice to meet
Bye.
you.
Lovely to meet you. Ben, the final one we've got this morning, sorry.
So this one is a dark lemon myrtle cream. So for this product, we have taken the English tradition again of the fondant cream that is very popular in the UK. And that has been taken by people coming to Australia. So it's a very strong, popular product. So we wanted to give it a twist. So to put
we should say Ben, we do make the traditional rose cream and violet cream as well, don't we?
Yeah,
but
this
is our Australian version of it.
Yeah, we want to just bring this Australian flavor into that cream. So the fondant cream, it's something that when you start eating, it's just breaking. It's become very liquidy, which is quite nice. And well, the lemon myrtle is a beautiful Australian plant. It's a native plant. It has beautiful white flowers, but also the lemony is very much also into the leaves. And to me,
how lemon is it? Lemon like lemon, a yellow lemon we know, or is it a different sort of lemon flavour?
So I think if you put in your Google search, you will see that it has this beautiful, quite intricate white flowers. And so the scent is there, but I think it's mixed lemon lime, but also to me it has this kind of bush flavors. And like today is 25 degrees, but we had rain. Yeah, and as you see around even Adelaide, there is all these gum trees, and to me, I find so fantastic when the rain and it's still warm. You've got all these gum tree, right? And I find that you find that in that flavor, it's kind of warm gum tree note, like flavors.
Scented gum, yes,
So that's very much what you find in that product. And then we find that the dark chocolate brings a different aspect of the product. So again, you start with a bit of chocolate, and then you go into this fondant cream with all this kind of lemony, but also very Australian bushy flavor. And at the end, you go back into a bit more dark chocolates. So this dark chocolate.
I don't want to say eucalypt, but it's that native Australian bush smell scent.
Yeah.
Mixed with lemon, I think, is probably the best way for me to describe it. And we've had a couple of people say that the dark chocolate's a wonderful match to it. And I think it does. It helps cut through that little bit of sweetness and tartness that's there as well. And then some are even thinking it's like a traditional lemonade sort of flavour.
Okay. So that's good. That's good. I find that because we can smell the gum trees and all that stuff, I think there is a very Australian component to it. And I think that flavor or possibly the milk chocolate will not be as nice. The dairy aspect, the milk aspect, I think it's better balanced with dark chocolate.
And I think it's good to share that too with people, that all chocolates that wonderful chocolate ideas that you come up with, we more often than not do them in both combinations when we're tasting them and deciding whether to bring them to our customers, to the market. And sometimes it doesn't matter so much, but then sometimes it's very obvious whether
It's
it
very
needs to be
obvious.
matched with the dark or milk. You sort of go, oh yeah, no, that's absolutely fantastic. And I think this is one of the examples of the flavors that really align very well with dark chocolate rather than milk chocolate.
Yeah, because both chocolate, milk and dark, it's quite they have strong flavors, but the dark will be even stronger than the milk. So, but then he balance on sometimes a bit of sweetness, but also for some flavor, as you said, is just like milk is not working, and the same with other flavor. The dark is too powerful. But that lemon,
I think this morning you've got lots of people loving the lemon myrtle, which I'm glad, because we're always we're always a little bit hesitant to bring some of, I guess, the more indigenous native ingredients to tastings and to market, but we also like to do it because it does challenge people, and it's something very different to what people would necessarily even choose for themselves, because people often go with what they know. So these sorts of sessions are really a great opportunity to bring something a little bit left to centre, so to speak. And it's wonderful to see so many people enjoying that.
And I think it's the same that we do always in our shops, the testing. And sometimes customers will say, "Oh, I will not buy," but once they try, they say, "Oh, wow, that was an amazing experience," and they buy the product straight away.
Well, I should probably explain that both on the tour that that guests and visitors can do of our factory facility at Parkside and store. There's an awful lot of free chocolate given out. So the tour is free and there's free chocolate. And then part of our customer experience really is every time you visit the store, you get a free tasting. So it's a wonderful way for people to taste other things, and we actually have a program of those tastings so they get aligned with other things that we're doing. But we're getting, Julie just said it's super zesty and strong. It took her by surprise, but in a good way. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's good.
And April, we have 21 stores in Australia with plans to open quite a few more. So we're currently have physical stores in Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney. We've been in Adelaide for nearly 110 years, Melbourne for nearly 60, and Sydney will be 30 years off the top of my head. I should remember because we celebrated 100 years not so long ago. But there's and one lonely, lovely little store in Canberra, in our nation's capital. So we're looking into Brisbane and Perth next, caps off the rank. But at the moment, 21 stores spread throughout the country, and then also our online store, which not yet to the UK, but watch this space. It's probably what to say there. And I think Joe's going to Australia to go chocolate shopping. Love your work, Joe. Just be careful when you take them back. That's all. Pack them safely. But look, everyone, that sort of concludes our tasting part of it, and it's been really lovely to share this with you. The little bit of surprise that I'm allowed to talk about from a Haig's perspective is that the team are busy putting together a VIP tour element that we're hoping to test and launch come middle of this year, and that would actually involve really going behind the scenes. So coating up into a white coat with hairnets, etc., and understanding the process from beginning all the way to the end. And we'd have guest appearances by people such as Ben doing that tour. So there would certainly be an awful lot of chocolate tasting, and probably the ability to taste that 50-degree chocolate slightly cooled almost directly from the tank. So that's something that's coming along, and we're hoping to launch by the end of this year. So that would be a paid experience, and we're looking we're very excited to be able to do that, because we've never been able to do that before. So thank you, everyone, for your lovely comments as well. Thank you for dropping in, for those that tasted the chocolates, for enjoying it, for your feedback and your questions. And, when you're in Adelaide, you'll have to stop by and say hello. Ben, did you have any final words?
Well, I think it's been really nice. We could see many people, so but it's always nice to explain what we're doing. I think Haigh Chocolate is an amazing company. It's a family business, and making the chocolate from the cocoa beans and selling right into our shops is something that's very, very special. Being the oldest chocolate maker, I was the only chocolate maker for a long, long time, until maybe 20 years ago, where small business have come to try to do that. It's something also very, very special. And so, yeah. And who doesn't like chocolates? So I think you guys are all in the travel. I think that's a top job. I think we come just after you, making chocolate and eating chocolate every day. So thank you very much.
And I do like on holidays.
That's right.
We do like to travel. So yes.
And hopefully we see some of you in Adelaide. That'll be nice.
We hope so, and we can show you the handmade nature of our chocolate, and certainly give you lots of lovely tastings of them as well.